In our minds, we see ourselves as logical creatures who consider various aspects before forming an opinion. But research shows that we're actually cognitive misers, which means we take a lot of shortcuts while thinking and perceiving to form working but oversimplified models of the world. Now, some shortcuts are important. Otherwise, our brains would stop functioning by 10 a.m. itself. But the problem with taking too many shortcuts is that we eventually turn into idiots with half baked opinions, which we cling to like a child clings to its mother. And in doing so, we don't just do a disservice to ourselves because we're degrading our intelligence. We're also doing a disservice to the world because we're adding to the ignorance out there. Which brings me to today's quote by Sri Aurobindo. There are three elements necessary to correct reasoning. First, the correctness of facts or conclusions that I start from. Secondly, the completeness as well as accuracy of the data I start from. Thirdly, the elimination of other possible or impossible conclusions from the same facts. End quote. So, what does this mean? It means that most of us can know anything we want, but we cannot know everything because our brains just don't have that capacity until and unless, of course, we've reached an enlightened stage. To understand things better, writer Gurvinder Singh suggests that we break all issues down into tertiary, primary, and secondary. Now, let's deep dive into Gurvinder's explanation of how we should conduct ourselves in each of these three issues. Tertiary issues are the issues that you don't need to know anything about, which means the overwhelming majority of things. Consider what difference it will make if you don't know anything about it. And if the answer is nothing, then resolve to not have an opinion at all. Don't even try to take a shortcut to form an opinion or a belief. Just accept that you don't know. And when someone asks you about that topic, then say the three most liberating words: I don't know. Secondary issues are things that interest you, but you don't need to get exactly right. In such cases, it's useful to take a shortcut. So take the best shortcut there is, which is adversarial learning. Pick out the best advocates from both sides, listen to their arguments, and stick to the idea that sounds most compelling. Let that be your opinion. But still remember that the information that you have is vastly shallow as compared to the depth of the subject out there. Finally, primary issues. These are issues that you care about the most, the things that you definitely have to get right. So use all the energy that you've saved from ignoring tertiary issues and taking shortcuts on secondary issues to know everything there is to know about these primary issues. When you're about to have an opinion, first ask yourself, is this a tertiary issue, a secondary issue, or a primary issue? On tertiary issues, remain silent. On secondary issues, remain humble. And on primary issues, be passionate. And don't just be passionate in talking about primary issues. Be equally passionate in working on them as well. Because that's how you understand things better. How they function, what factors influence them, and which actions yield the desired results. So that's the lesson for today. Why don't you take some time before you move on to the next video or your next activity to kind of decide which aspects are tertiary, primary, and secondary in your life and leave a comment? I would love to hear from you. And until next time, namaste.